This is the Unit 2 review for pre-algebra. Directions. Match. You will use each letter only once. Well, obviously, before we start matching, we need to show our work. So for number 1, we have x quantity y plus z. What you're going to need to do is distribute the x. So you have x times y plus x times z, which brings us to the answer x, y plus x, z. Let's look over to your answer bank and see if any of those match. And I believe that D does match. So on the line, you need to write D. And I would go over to your answer box and cross it off because we've already used it. Moving on to number 2. Again, we are distributing x. X times y minus, this time, x times z, which your final answer is xy minus xz. Look over to your answer box, and A is your final answer. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because I'm starting to go really fast. You know I have a tendency to do that. If at any moment I am going way too fast, you may pause and you may rewind or rewatch any section. Please do not fast forward though. Okay, number 3. Be really observant here. There is a negative x outside of your parentheses, so that is what you are distributing. Negative x times y plus, and you need to make sure there's a plus sign here, you're bringing it over there, negative x times z. So your answer is negative xy plus your negative xz. Although I know a lot of you don't like writing it that way. Instead, if you have plus a negative, you know it is the same thing as negative xz. Besides the point, if you look over to your answer box, that's the answer you're going to find. You're not going to find negative xy plus a negative xz. So your answer is B. Cross it off. Clearly, that means that number 4 is supposed to be C, but you need to show the work just in case you made an accident earlier in some of your work. Negative x gets distributed times y. You have a negative sign here, so you need to write it over here. Still distributing that negative x times z. Instantly, your brain should be clicking. Something's going on right here. So it needs to be negative xy plus xz. And if you look over into your answer bank, hey, your answers do match up, so you did the work properly. Good job. Your next directions say factor each expression. Factor should bring about the terminology greatest common factor. If I look at 6y minus 42, what do those terms both have in common? What can I divide out of them? Well, they don't have a variable in common, but they do have a 6. So if I took 6y and divided it by 6, I would just get y minus 42 divided by 6 is 7. If you wanted to double check your work, if you distributed that 6 times y is 6y minus 6 times 7 is 42. in a testing situation. If you have enough time, you might want to do that. Number 6, 16x plus 28. Well, I know those are both even numbers, so you could divide out a 2, but that's not big enough. We want the biggest number they both have in common, which happens to be a 4. 16x divided by 4 is 4x. 28 divided by 4 is 7. I know that I'm correct because I can redistribute, but if I look in here, I can't pull out another number. I have factored out the biggest number possible. Number 7, 8y minus 16xy. Again, I want to pull out the biggest thing they have in common, which would be an 8, but would also be y, because they both have the variable y. 8y divided by 8y is 1, minus 16xy divided by 8y is 2x, because your y right here goes over there. Good job. Again. Now we are going to match each expression with the simplified form. Those are the directions, but if I look in here, what am I really doing? I'm combining like terms. So let's rewrite this. I have negative 12y. What's like it? Well, what's like it is this plus 8y. The plus needs to come with it. The negative stays with the 7 plus 11. Now we'll just handle it bit by bit. Our like terms are negative 12y plus 8y. Put that in your calculator. Negative 12 plus 8 should give you negative 4y. And again, all of you are very aware that's a negative 7 plus 11. Put that into your calculator. Negative 7 plus 11. You should get positive 4. Look over to your answer bank and see, right off the bat, I notice I have a negative 4y here plus 4. That is exactly what we have, and that answer is D. Let's cross it off. Oh my, number 9 is a little bit more complicated. I just gave myself a little bit more room here to show some work. It looks as though I am going to have to distribute that 8. So 8 times y minus 8 times 4. I'm not going to distribute that 8 to the 3 because it's not inside the parentheses. So this is 8y minus 32 plus 13. Luckily for you, my like terms are already together. So I have 8y. In your calculator, you need to take negative 32 plus 13, which gives you negative 19. If I look over to my answer bank, instantly I see A, 8y minus 19. That matches perfectly. So number 9 is A. I'm going to cross it off because we don't need it anymore. Number 10 may seem daunting at first, but luckily our like terms are already together. Our terms with y and then our numbers without a variable. You would all remind me that there is a 1 in front of that y. So it's negative 1y plus 4y. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3y. And then I also have negative 5 minus 6, which is negative 11. If I look over at my answer key, oh, I have a 3y minus 11, which is C. And then I'm almost home free. I've got 2 more that I need to do. Okay, so this one, look what I'm distributing. I'm not just distributing a 3, I'm distributing a negative 3. So 15 minus 4y, I'm going to put a plus here because I am distributing negative 3 times y plus negative 3 times 2. When we rewrite that, we get 15 minus 4y. Now, we all remember if you have plus a negative, that's really negative 3y plus a negative again, negative 6. So again, 15 minus 4y minus 3y minus 6. Let's rewrite it so we put our like terms together. So, our like terms. I have 15. Do not forget, that is not just a 6. That is negative 6. Minus 4y minus 3y. Well, the first part is nice and easy. 15 minus 6 is 9. And of course, we want to be aware of our negatives. It is negative 4y minus 3y, which would be negative 7y. Let's take a little peek over at our answer box. And yeah, we definitely have something that matches. It's our B. Now, for those of you who don't like to show your work and those of you who like to kind of cut corners, you may recognize that 12 equals E, but you also recognize I'm the teacher that has you show your work and prove it. So we need to prove that 12 equals 9y plus 11. We're going to have to do some good old-fashioned distributing. 2 times 3y plus 2 times 1. Note, we are only going to distribute the 2 because it is outside of these parentheses right in here. Plus, well, now we have a new set of parentheses. So we'll take 3 times y plus 3 times 3. Only distribute what's exactly outside of the parentheses and inside the parentheses. So, 2 times 3y is 6y plus 2 plus 3y plus 9. Well, at least there's not any negatives we have to deal with. That's certainly a plus or a positive for us. No pun intended. All right. Rearrange 6y plus 3y plus 2 plus 9 to get your like terms together. And I think that we're in a good spot here. I think we're going to be able to prove that it equals 9y plus 11 because 6 plus 3 is 9y plus 2 plus 9 is 11. So indeed, your answer is a very sloppily written E. And now we're going to solve for each variable. Let's start with number 13. I am going to drop a line down to separate the different sides of the equation. Whole goal is to get k by itself. I'm going to add 8 to both sides because the negative 8 is not directly connected to 2 or k. So that remains 2k equals 12. The opposite of multiplication is division. So k equals 6. You are fully aware that if you do want to check your work, you can. You won't have a lot of time to take this test, so I would do this at the very end. But you can take in your calculator negative 8 plus 2 times 6. If both sides equal 4, then you're correct. Number 14. Drop a line down. Ooh, I made it red this time, but that's okay. 4p plus 7 equals negative 9. I need to start getting rid of things that aren't directly connected to the variable. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Be aware what you have going on here. You have negative 9 minus 7. If you put that in your calculator, you get negative 16. I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides to get the p by itself. And again, be aware of what you're putting in your calculator. Negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. A positive 4 would not work. Hopefully, we are not panicking having a fraction. We were really good at this on our quiz. Okay. Again, we're trying to start to get the variable by itself on the left. I'm going to start peeling things away, so I'm going to add my 5, which means I have 1/4 x equals 8. Now, you all came up with a fancy word to get rid of that 1/4. Subtracting it would not work because that would then be 1/4 times x minus 1/4. To get rid of 1/4 times x, multiply by the reciprocal. When you multiply by the reciprocal, by the way, that's kind of like dividing. What I do to one side, I'm going to have to do to the other. You can do 8/1 times 4/1. That is really the same thing as just 8 times 4. So x equals 32. Oh boy. Number 16 is a little bit more involved. You cannot just start getting the variable by itself. First, you're going to have to distribute the 4. 4 times y. Bring down the minus sign. It was here, now it's there. Times 4 times 5 equals 8. So 4y minus 20 equals 8. All you had was to do was distribute. Now you just need to go back and treat it like a multi-step equation. No big deal. Get the variable by itself. So I have 4y equals 28. Divide by 4 on both sides because dividing is the opposite of multiplying. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And of course, this is where we get a little bit messed up. We have to be aware of our negative stuff going on. Negative, 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 negative. Before I start to get the variable by itself, I need to combine like terms. which is actually not too bad because they're already put together. Bring down your negative 30, but I have negative 12x minus 9x. Put those together, you get negative 21x equals negative 93. I know I picked up some speed. You can always pause the video and write down what you need to write down. Okay, now back to solving. We need to get rid of what's the easiest to get rid of. That negative 21 is like super attached to that x. It is not going to let go that easy. So get rid of the easier one. Add 30 to both sides. This means that negative 21 is still hanging out with that x. Over on the right, again with your negatives, be very deliberate about this in your calculator. It's negative 93 plus 30, which would be negative 63. Ooh, I'm popping up all sorts of stuff. I don't know if you saw that or not. Now we need to divide by negative 21. Again, in your calculator, be very deliberate about this. It's negative 63 minus 21. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and you should get, ooh, you can't write with that, 3. And then number 18, it's one of our favorite kind of questions. Variables are on the left and on the right. So you need to decide which one is the better one to move. Remember, you can move either. That doesn't really matter. You just want to keep things positive. So if you subtract 7y from both sides, remember you're subtracting the entire term, the number and the variable. On the left, you get negative 54. 12 minus 7 is 5y plus 21. Just in one step, we've already gotten to where we can start solving. This should be our comfort zone. Subtract 21 from both sides. Be observant about your negatives and positives. That should be negative 54 minus 21, which is negative 75, equals 5y. We should be happy with this. There's not going to be a decimal because they're divisible by 5. Negative 75 divided by 5, negative 15. Let's take a moment, shall we, and enjoy all of this beautiful work that has been displayed on the study guide. Yeah, it's the beautiful work that I'm expecting you will show on your test. Okay, determine if there are one, none, or many solutions. So we're going to solve each of these equations, and when we solve it, we're going to see what our answer looks like. 5 plus 2g equals 2g plus 6. We have variables on both sides. Well, remember, I know this is kooky looking. They're both the same. So if we subtract 2g from both sides, all we have left is 5 and 6. 5 does not equal 6. So that means there are none. There aren't any solutions because when you solve the equation, you get two different numbers on the sides of the equation. This one is a big one. We're going to have to distribute on both sides. 8y plus, we're distributing 4, times 4y, plus 4 times 3, and we can end that distributing because we're going to go to the other side. Now, it is a 4 we are distributing, but it's on the right side now. Quit distributing the 4 once you've ended your parentheses and just write down minus 4. Go back all the way over to the left. You only want to do one step at a time. Don't finish this and then finish that because you're going to miss a step and screw it up. 8y plus 4 times 4 is 16y plus 12 equals. Keep on going. Don't continue on the left. You will screw yourself up. 24y plus 16 minus 4. Go back all the way over here to the left and work your way to the right. It's nice because your like terms are already together. 8y plus 16y is 24y plus 12 equals your like terms, your plus 6 minus 4 are already together. Plus 16 minus 4 is 12. Whew! We did all of that distributing, combining like terms. We have variables on both sides. So I want to subtract 24 from both sides. What do I have left? They equal each other. And if they equal each other, that means there are many solutions because both sides equal each other. Finally, 4n minus 40 equals 7 times negative 2n, plus 7 times 2. Again, work back left to right. 7 times negative 2n is negative 14n plus 14. Variables are on both sides. I would take the easy route. If this is negative 14n, if you add 14n, then you end up on the left with a positive 18n minus 40 equals 14. Now we are at a two-step equation. Add 40 to both sides. 18n equals 54. Divide by 18. N equals the one, the only 3. So if n equals a direct number, there is only one solution. No more, no less. So again, a lot of good work here. On number 19, your numbers did not match. So there are no solutions. There is no number you could plug into G to make that work. On number 18, there are a ton of numbers that you could plug into Y and make that equation work. On number 21, the number 3 is the only number that you can plug into that equation and get it to work. Last question. You are having your bike repaired by a mechanic. You paid $40 for a new part, and it cost $14 per hour for the labor. Your total cost was $82. How many hours of labor did you pay for? Okay, well, long and short of it is everything equals 82. Well, what equals 82? Well, 40. So the new part and the labor. But this is ridiculous. 40 plus 14 does not equal 82. There's a part we're missing. Well, it would only be $14 if it was 1 hour, but we don't know how many hours were worked. Great equation. Now you have to solve it. And you get H equals 3, but I don't really know what that 3 means. It's 3 hours of labor. Labor doesn't mean having a baby in this instance. Labor means work. All right, so $40 for the part plus $14 times 3 hours of labor gives you $82 to pay for your bike. All right, that's it, gang. I would suggest you rewatch this. I would also suggest that you try this on a blank piece of paper. Do not just think seeing this one time is enough. There is a lot on here, and we're going to move on to inequalities next. If you don't understand this, inequalities are going to be kind of a bear. Good luck. Take your time. Do it.